So before I jump into my long talk about Content ID, I would recommend you click the first link down below that I have linked in the description. Watch that video as it's very, very informative and will give you plenty of information regarding what I'm talking about, more in-depth information, along with telling you how to actually fix some of your Content ID content on YouTube. I did some of the things that he said to do in his video, and it actually got my content appealed off of YouTube. I'm sure many are aware of the massive YouTube apocalypse that happened just under 2 months ago, where Let's Players content started getting claims from game publishers and false claims on people's videos claiming that they do not own the content, which technically they don't. They own their voice, they own their content, but they don't own the publisher's content. Whether it's fake or not, that's not relevant to YouTube. The Content ID system is fundamentally flawed, broken, and needs to be fixed. But today I want to give you a proposition on why I think the Content ID system is actually a good thing, what it's actually striving to do, and why, if it was actually working correctly, why it should be implemented. A lot of people don't know this, but people who are not in a network here on YouTube have been dealing with the Content ID system for years. In fact, when YouTube first started, the Content ID system existed and would claim your content if you didn't own all of what's in it. However, when YouTube networks came along, YouTube networks offered YouTube partners a protection from YouTube Content IDs. So instead of, let's say you use a video clip from The Simpsons, correct, in your video, if you were a YouTube partner with a network, that video of clip that you use of The Simpsons and you used it in your video would not be Content ID claimed because the network would offer you the protection from that. I don't know all the in-depth process of how it works, but it was networks on YouTube were protecting other channels from getting Content IDs. Well, YouTube said, fuck that, this is a liability issue, this is a copyright issue, and we're going to say screw that. Networks no longer can protect their creators from being Content ID'd. So unless you have strict permission from the publisher or the game creator or the music that you're using, you can have your content claimed. Now, when your content is claimed, what this means is that the ad revenue goes to that specific company. The problem with this, though, is that people are misusing this system and using the Content ID claim to claim content that they actually don't own, or it's a false Content ID claim. I've had quite a few of my videos have Content ID claims from music tracks that I have used on my channel, and I've looked up the music company, and it's not even a legitimate I don't even know the company's name. I have an actual written contract out with a company that says I can use this in my video commercially and make money off of it, but someone has claimed it, and therefore the ad revenue of my video is going to those people. I'm not whining about this, I don't really honestly care. The point, though, that I'm trying to make is that it's broken. People are abusing the system, using it to their advantage, and it's fundamentally flawed. Onision himself, as I don't like to talk about him, but he's been Content IDing many of his videos that have been made against him, including some of my own. Some of my videos against Onision have been Content ID claimed. Do I care? Not really, because I understand why and what the Content ID system is for. The Content ID system, although it's broken and fundamentally flawed and needs to be fixed, the whole goal of the Content ID system is to protect copyright.
People seem to be upset about the implementation of the Content ID system rather than the idea of the Content ID and copyright thing. Personally, I think it's okay to try to protect your copyrighted material. I think that's fine. I mean, if I was a company, I would be upset if people were making money off of stuff that I worked on. I spent years working on, and people just take it and start making money off of it. Yeah, that's kind of an issue. Now, when stuff like this happens with copyright, people like to claim, we have the right to fair use, and they use that kind of thing to get around this kind of stuff. And when people say right to fair use, I was kind of wondering about that, so I decided to do a little research about fair use as a right. And I don't know, maybe you can correct me on this, but I couldn't find many places that said that fair use is an actual right of someone to actually use copyrighted content. It's been saying that fair use is a defense, and you can use it as a defense in court against a copyright infringement claim. In other words, the copyright owner has to claim that you are using or you're infringing on the copyrights of something, and from there you can use fair use as a defense. Now, what's interesting about fair use is that it's kind of an iffy subject because it has to be decided on a case-by-case basis. This is something that needs to be talked out with all the evidence from both sides, and a judge has to determine whether someone can claim fair use as a defense. And it varies from case to case. There's very few times where the cases are similar. Everyone's under very different circumstances, and the judge has to make a call. And they usually make a call on the four factors that are used to kind of weigh whether fair use can be used as a defense. Now, I'm going to put a link in the description to what YouTube actually says. Like, there's actually an FAQ where it asks the question, what is fair use? And it says that it's determined by four main factors, and it has to be determined in court. And these four factors basically boil down to, is the work transformative? Does it change the original copyright enough so that it's doing something different rather than it's replacing it or superseding it? The other factor is the nature of the work, whether it's fictional or non-fictional or factual in that case. If it contains facts and stuff like that, then maybe they'll see it as a educational type of thing and they'll say it's okay. But if it's fictional, then it's more likely going to be like, oh well, they're going to have to decide, is this really fair use or not? Because you're taking something that's fictional and someone's ideas, and yeah, that might not be so good. Another thing is the amount of copyrighted material that you actually take. Now, I know people say, oh, well, if I use this 10-second clip, it might be okay. It's 10-second rule or something like that. And the thing is, it's really hard to find somewhere that says you can use this particular amount. Like I said, when this stuff goes to court, they determine whether or not, all this stuff is valid, and they weigh it. And if you use too much of it, it might be like, whoa, you're giving away too much. And this is one of the issues that I have with Let's Players, which I'll get into in a second. But yeah, if you take too much of it, they might see it as, oh well, you're taking too much, that's not right. Or if you take a little bit, then it'd be like, oh, okay, well, you're only taking a little bit, so it's fine. But it doesn't seem like they have like, oh, you can only use this exact amount. It has to be determined in court. And the last one is the effect on the potential market. And it's almost like uploading a movie, like day one when it comes out with a camera or something like that. Could this affect what the earnings that the company could make? Could this affect them economically and financially? And yeah, sometimes it does. When you release something day one, people would rather have the free stuff rather than go and actually pay for it. So sometimes, yes, it's gonna substantially affect the copyright owner's ability to profit off of this kind of stuff.
The YouTube user Boogie made an excellent video on Content ID, and I kind of hold the same view that he does. If you're going to post video games here on YouTube, I believe that you should have permission from the game publishers, the game creators, that you are able to distribute that content and publish that content to your YouTube channel to make money off of it with commentary. Otherwise, if you just simply add commentary over video gameplay that you don't actually own, although I support people doing Let's Plays, then I can see why companies may not like that. It actually works against companies. For example, all of my Nintendo gameplay footage has been Content ID'd by Nintendo. Therefore, all of the ad revenue goes to Nintendo. Do I like that? No. But do I own the visuals of that company? Do I have legal permission from Nintendo to publish their game and make money off of their game? Do I have that permission? No, I do not. Therefore, my content is ID'd and they're making revenue off of my gaming content with my voice. This is my proposition, and hear me out, ladies and gentlemen. What I want is that the Content ID system is to be used to split ad revenue between different people. For example, I made a Let's Play video of The Legend of Zelda here on my channel. Nintendo Content IDs that video. Therefore, my ad revenue gets split between Nintendo and me. Likewise, if I make a video response to somebody on YouTube like I do all the time, they should be able to Content ID their video clips of mine, and the revenue that I made on my video should be split in half with them. That is my proposition, and I think this is a fantastic way, actually, if they could do this. And I know they could. I believe that if someone is using your content, you should be able to make ad revenue off of your content that they're using, but you also get ad revenue also. That's just my opinion. Feel free to disagree with me on this. I would love to hear your comments on this. Again, I want to make it very clear. The Content ID system is broken and flawed, and it needs to be fixed because people can use it and abuse it to claim content that they don't actually own. I don't support that. That's wrong, and YouTube needs to fix this. If someone takes a full video of mine, a complete unedited video of Mr. Repzion, and uploads it to YouTube and gets ads put on that video, they're making money off my content, my image, my voice, my video, and I think that's wrong, period. I've had the issue of running in with people. I've gotten Mr. Repzion 3 and Mr. Repzion 4 banned off of YouTube because they are claiming to be Mr. Repzion, me, and they have uploaded full videos of mine, which I don't want re-uploaded, even though they're on my main channel, and they put ads on them, and I have a problem with that. That's why I want to use the Content ID system. Though I could probably easily abuse it and say, hey, you just made a clip of me, I'm going to claim your content, I'm not going to do that. Because that's one of the big problems with the YouTube Content ID, is that you use 2-second clips and somebody can claim that content and all that ad revenue goes to that person. And that's just crazy, stupid, and I don't like that idea. If you are a Let's Player here on YouTube, I feel sorry for the fact that your content is being claimed and you can't make money off that. However, you have to understand that if you don't own the full rights to it, they're fully capable of doing that, and within legal rights, they have the power to do that. Unless you... And it goes back to my same repetitive point. If you don't have permission from them, I really don't think you should upload content of their game, even though, ironically enough, uploading content to their game is free advertisements for that game, and you would think that game companies would want those free advertisements, because for me, when I watch video games on YouTube, I'm like, oh, this game looks cool, I want to buy it now, which could in return make that company more money. But I don't know. Some game companies think that way, some game companies don't. That's why Nintendo doesn't like people uploading their footage for whatever reason. I don't know, it's a free advertisement, but fuck that. They want to Content ID my content, there's nothing I can do. I'm not going to sit and I'm not going to whine and I'm not going to complain because I don't own and I don't have the rights for Nintendo. Plain and simple. But again, Content ID system. Fix yourself and find out a way to split ad revenue so my video responses, and this applies to my videos, guys, my video responses that I make should be split with the other person's content that I use. This is just my line of thinking, my opinion. Feel free to voice your opinion on the Content ID system. Is it really that bad? I mean, yes, it's bad because it's broken, but if it's working correctly, do you see it as a big issue? Personally, I don't. Feel free to leave your comments down below. My name is Mr. Repzion, also known as Daniel Sulzbach. Peace the Rep out.